Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And I think on our end, people that are looking at your resume, that are hiring you, are thinking along those lines too. And so they're looking for someone with really great critical thinking skills, someone who can adapt easily, someone who can learn on the job. Because especially PR is a job that you learn on the job. I mean, you can have a PR degree, but I wouldn't be that impressed by that personally. Because I know that I learned everything I needed to know just by being in it and doing. And so I would be more impressed by a Middlebury grad with a broad range of experiences than someone who had majored in PR and only focused on PR.
You make good points on. And, to go from an English degree with a chemistry concentration, a lot of music. I also did music performance, but to go from that and just get into business and financial news, which is where I went pretty much after grad school. I ended up going to Bloomberg News, and I was there for 12 years. And the only way I could have learned all that stuff was by having an open mind to learn on the job. There are a lot of great people there. One of the guys now, he anchors for Marketplace out in LA. I just heard him on the way up in the car. But he used to tell me a lot about the bond market and treasuries and economic data. And yeah, I learned a lot on the job. I carried that with me.
So let's open it up to questions. Who has questions for these guys? Yeah.
I know, Suzanne, you were talking about how you have an internship program that you're in charge of, and I know Condé Nast has an internship program which I've already applied to. So would you suggest, kind of focusing on applying to these intern programs, or if I'm on Midnet and I see someone that works for a publication that I'm interested in or a company I'm interested in, would you think it's unreasonable to email that person and just see if they have any opportunity in their office, or do you really think that it's better to go for an internship program that's already established?
I
would say go right to the person.
I would do both.
I would do both, but don't in any way hesitate. Like my present intern is she just graduated Middlebury last spring. She's here on campus this weekend. But Condé Nast has an internship program. It's great. It's hard to crack because there's only so many internships, and I do say it does favor schools like Northwestern, with Syracuse, with big communications programs. You don't have to attend to those, but that seems to be, there's a little bit of a pipeline to those big communication schools. So when I needed an intern 3 days a week, I said, I get a big packet of resumes from HR, and they say, here are your choices. And then I interviewed some of them, and I said, well, can I just go off on my own and find my own intern? They said, okay, fine. So I went through the career services, and I just said, listen, this is what I'm looking for. I want someone who's, has some sort of English background. It doesn't have to be an English major, but it's just literary and interesting. And so that's how I found Karina, and she's fabulous. She just graduated. She's from New Jersey, which is where I'm from, so I'm always biased towards that too. But I interviewed her, and she just was hungry. That's the other thing. She's just so interested. So I think for me, it was if you rely on the intern programs, you're just one of potentially
it's really
thousands.
tough to get in. I mean, for our summer program, we'll probably have 15 slots, and we're at 400 applicants. And I could probably throw darts and pick really great, fabulous, and I do a little bit more deep than that. But my point is absolutely, email. If you want to work at Mullen, and I don't work there, but someone else does, email that person. Hey, I just applied to your internship program, or I'm about to. Do you have any advice for me, or anything that you would point out as this is my resume? Always attach your resume. Always come presented, polished as much as you can. But absolutely sort of check out.
Always send thank you letters. I'm
yeah.
gonna add that.
I'm
amazed how many people I interview out of college and they don't send a thank you letter. Even if you don't get the job or the internship, like we were saying, don't burn bridges.
It's such a small network.
Yeah.
Such a small network. You never know. You think, oh, I'm only going to live in Boston and I'm only going to work at Arnold. 2, 3, 4. Hey, San Francisco, how you doing? I knew I was going to be moving here. So and you just rely on each other. So I would definitely just do your research, and if I want to be in New York this summer, I'm really interested in writing for a magazine, even if Paul may not write for a magazine per se, gosh, I bet he has some contacts that he might be willing to, my buddy Bob, blah, 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 here's his email, and there you go.
Yeah, do everything.
I mean, I could name 10 people off the top of my head at Condé Nast who I could comfortably call and just be like, hey, do you guys have our program? And going in with any kind of a a recommendation, something like that. I mean, I'm not necessarily offering that up there as like a, an opportunity for people, but people within the industry know people. It is really that small. It's hard to believe how small it is. People just move around and make lateral moves and make huge leaps to other sides. And so just keeping a dialogue open with a variety of different people, and especially if you're at this stage, you're not exactly sure what it means to go down a certain path. I think this is the point when you need to, I applied to account management jobs because I knew Suzanne, and because I knew that that was kind of a catch-all for a lot of people. That people say they want to go into account management if they want to go into advertising. Well, there's a heck of a lot more out there, and that is one track, and it may not be for everybody. And once you kind of open that door and figure out what else there is in that world, there could be a perfect fit for you somewhere, just next door. So I think it's having that dialogue and keeping that going, and talking to your parents' friends. I mean, it doesn't have to be a Middlebury connection. It really doesn't. And I know people who I've referred who are in no way related to Middlebury, but seem to have a better understanding or be a better fit for what you might be interested in.
I don't think I got a single job through traditional channels in my entire life. Like, I don't think I ever went through HR. I mean, you have to interview with them eventually, but it was all through calling people and even if there wasn't anything available, say, great, thanks, and then check in with them again later. I mean, it's always networking. All of it was just calling people and not being afraid to just say hi, who are you, and
Just cast as wide a net as possible. Like, I work in a 6-person department. I don't have any jobs to offer. My whole job is to network with reporters. So I know a lot of people in the media industry, and my best friend who's an editorial assistant at Connie Nast from Middlebury. So just
It'll
reach out to
definitely
them.
help you though if she works for a 6-person PR company. You really want to do a Condé Nast huge glamour magazine that might have this many, and approach it that way. Like, my dream job is, have some thought, have done some research, internships help, so that like Leslie was saying, like, I did an internship at Evergreen Advertising. It was 8 people while I was there. I think they're up to 12 now. And like day 4, I was like, oh my gosh, I missed the whole holiday because it was 400 people. So I could say, I've tested out the small agencies, and I'm really thinking I'm more of the large agency, advice, friends, that sort of stuff.
Also, as far as casting a wider net, don't look at just the traditional things that you might look for. Look at the whole organization. If you're looking at Condé Nast, they also have Portfolio magazine, which has many different kinds of things within it, that are not business. And you could be the person that ends up, doing something innovative in fashion or whatever is not being covered there. And you might have a way to make a bigger impact than you would at a place that has 20 people doing the same thing. Bloomberg also, as far as I can hear, is doing more with features. Wall Street Journal also has now as a fashion reporter, Cheryl Tan. Just check the non-traditional places if you're interested in any particular.
Who else?